Hi, and welcome back. What I should really say before starting this video, and this is going to be a video, probably a series of videos on Millikan's oil drop experiment, and I want to, I guess, let you know before I start the presentation that I didn't make a mistake, and I wasn't planning on making a video about Algebra 1 because I'm really going to give you a problem to start this video off that's going to seem very much like an Algebra 1 problem, and I just wanted to let you know that this is an actual problem that's going to hopefully help me explain Millikan's oil drop experiment a little bit better. So anyway, here we go. Let's say we're going out. And I'm in Philadelphia right now. And so let's say we went out to Lynn Villa Orchards. Lynn Villa Orchards is an apple orchard that's kind of right outside Philadelphia. And let's say we were going out to Lynn Villa Orchards, and we were going to go. This is kind of a very purple apple. We were going to go out and we were going to pick apples. And let's say I went out with 3 other people. So there were 4 people total. So we've got 4 people going out, and we're all going to pick apples at Lynn Villa Apple Orchard. And let's say, so we all go out and we all pick apples, and when we come back, we've all got 4 different baskets that are all full of apples. And let's say, so we've got 4 different baskets, and let's say basket number 1, so we could say that this is my basket, let's say, and it's going to weigh 1.6 pounds. So that's how many, so I picked 1.6 pounds worth of apples. And then let's say my friend, Harry, I don't know what his name is, I guess, or her name is. Let's say that person number 2 picked 8 pounds of apples. Then person number 3 picked even more. Person number 3 picked 10.4 pounds of apples. And then finally, person number 4, I think I said person number 4 here, but this was person number 3. So now person number 4 picked 4.0 pounds of apples. And my question to you is how much does 1 apple weigh? So that's the question. And there is one other piece of information that you need to know in order to figure out this problem. And that is just for me to tell you that all of the apples that we picked, so all the apples that we went out and picked, they're all the same weight. So we didn't, all the apples, we could say that they had the exact same number of apple atoms. They had the exact same number of molecules. So they all had the same exact weight. And so now what I want you to figure out, or what we want to try to figure out right now, is how much does 1 apple weigh? So how are we going to approach this? Well, let's do it like this. Let's approach it like this. Let's just start out by assuming, well, let's just assume that 1 apple, maybe that this person 1 that picked the least weight of apples, this person that picked 1.6 pounds, let's just assume that maybe they only picked 1 apple. Like that's definitely plausible. That we could say that if this person only picked 1 apple, so let's make a first guess. We are going to guess that the weight of an apple is 1.6 pounds. So what does that mean? That means that if we were going to divide 1.6, if we were going to divide these other weights by 1.6, that we should get even numbers, right? That we should get, or not even numbers, we should get whole numbers. We shouldn't get any, like, oh, well, this person picked 1.5 apples, so they had to go out and, or actually that person wouldn't have picked 1.5. They would have picked an even number, but we shouldn't see any fractions of an apple that someone had to go out and pick. We should only see whole numbers of apples that people picked if we divided each of these other persons' weights by our first guess, of 1.6 pounds. So let's just start off by saying, okay, so we're going to guess that one apple weighs 1.6 pounds. So let's go ahead and figure out, if we're assuming that an apple weighs 1.6 pounds, how many apples did this second person, this person that picked 8 pounds of apples, how many apples did they pick? Well, they picked 8.0 pounds. And we're saying that one apple weighs 1.6 pounds, so we'll divide 8 by 1.6. And let me just go ahead and get out the calculator. Even you can probably figure that out pretty easily, but we have 8 divided by 1.6. And we get a whole number. So we get that this person, if we assume that one apple weighs 1.6 pounds, we've figured out that this person has picked 5 apples. So let me just go ahead and write that down. So we think that this person has picked 5 apples if we assume that one apple weighs 1.6 pounds. So that person looks like, okay, well, maybe an apple does weigh 1.6 pounds. That would be kind of a heavy apple. But let's keep going. Let's divide. Let's figure out, if an apple does weigh 1.6 pounds, how many apples person 2 picked then. So let's say person 2 picked 10.4 pounds. That's how much their apple basket weighed. And let's divide that by 1.6. And what is that going to equal? So let's get the calculator out again. So now we're going to divide 10.4 divided by 1.6. And look at this. So this means that if one apple weighed 1.6 pounds, that this person that went out and picked 10.4 apples, they would have had to have gone out, they picked 6 apples, and then they decided to cut an apple in half. So they have got 6.5 apples in their basket. So let's write that down. I think my computer, oh, there we go. So they would have had to have cut an apple in half. So now this should hopefully tell you, let's write that down, equals 6.5. And we know that we can't go out and cut apples in half, or Linville Orchards doesn't like you cutting apples in half, or you could say a number of things about why we can't cut apples in half, or else we could just say we don't want to know how much half an apple weighs. We want to know how much one whole apple weighs. So probably this is going to say, because when we divided 10.4 by 1.6, we didn't get a whole number. This is going to probably say that our first guess is probably not right. Our first guess for 1.6 pounds being the weight of one apple is probably not going to be right. So anyway, let's actually keep going. Let's divide this last person and just say, keep the same guess and say, if 1.6 pounds is the weight of one apple, how many apples did this last person pick? So let's do this in yellow. So I'll say 4.0 pounds divided by our guess for how much an apple weighs, divided by 1.6. And that's going to give us the number of pounds or the number of apples that this person would have picked if our guess of 1.6 is right. So 4 divided by 1.6. And once again, we've got 2.5. So again, this other person would have had to have gone out and picked 2 apples and then cut one in half to have that weight. So 2.5. So hopefully this should give you some indication, because we didn't get all whole numbers, this should give you some indication that this first guess for how much an apple weighs, for 1.6 pounds being our first guess, isn't going to be totally right. So anyway, I'm actually almost out of time in this video. In the next video, we're going to keep working through this, and I promise that this does relate very well to Millikan's oil drop experiment. So anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.